For today's digital sit-down, we have the CEO of Brain Plus, Kim Baden-Kristensen, with us. Warm welcome, Kim.
Thank you.
Can you start this interview by telling us what happens at Brain Plus since the last time we spoke?
Yeah, I think last time we spoke, we had just announced that we were going to launch in Denmark already this year, which was well ahead of plan. And since then, or it was actually several years ahead of plan from the IPO, 3 years ahead of plan. And since then, we've announced that we will also be launching early in Germany. So already the second quarter of next year, we'll be launching the first product. We also met our first milestone with our pharma partnership with Rox Health. Also great news have come out in the industry about a phase 3 drug with positive trials, which has positive implications for us. And the stimulation therapy that we're working with has been recommended for global implementation by Alzheimer's Disease International. So there's a lot of things happening, both in terms of the getting to the market internally, but also positive news in the Alzheimer's space.
Can you talk about the product launch time and the sales expectations?
Yeah, I mean, without having given any official sales guidance yet, we can say that now we've received a lot of interest from the municipalities this year already here in Denmark. And here they're the ones taking care of the people with dementia. So there we are attending all the major dementia conferences in Denmark, now also beginning to do that in Germany. So basically, as soon as a product is launched, it means that it's open for sales. And our key priority is to start getting sales traction and to also show those value inflection points for the market, but more importantly, of course, just to make some money for the company. In Germany, it's kind of similar. We've already produced the localized German version. That was actually the Rox milestone meeting that was actually delivering to them the first fully localized translated German version. And so we'll be looking to put that into the market early next year. And again, to start sales as soon as we have that in the market. So while we don't give any specific revenue guidance, this is really something that we, of course, will be working very hard on in the coming period to come out and make some sales.
Has the pricing in DIGA been updated?
Yeah, so just for whoever's listening, DIGA is the German National Reimbursement Pathway. So this is Germany, for that reason, being the most mature digital therapeutics market in Europe. And generally what we've seen there is that a price per treatment with a digital therapeutic on average was around 400 euros. However, what has happened is that now more and more granular data on the pricing is coming out. And what we can see is that in the mental health space, it's around 400 euros on average per treatment. But in the neurological space, it's up to 700 euros per treatment there. So there seems to be more kind of reimbursement potential in the neurology space, which Alzheimer's is. So that's, I think, is a positive thing we're seeing there.
You talked a little about markets, and if we're looking at different markets, what's next for Brain Plus?
Yeah, we've already said that the UK and the US are quite high priority markets for us. UK, because it's one of the places where cognitive stimulation therapy is the most widespread, because it's originated from the UK, and because that therapy form is the recommended standard of care for people with dementia in the UK, also in Denmark and Germany, by the way, which means that the national health authorities are saying you should be using cognitive stimulation therapy for people with dementia. So that's why these markets is important for us. So the UK is one that we're really looking at, and it's on our roadmap. And the same with the US. And in fact, we actually came out this morning and said that now we're starting some brand building activities over there, some go-to-market research and some early dialogues. And we were just selected and featured to be a so-called BioBridge partner between the Texas Medical Center in Denmark, Texas Medical Center being the largest medical city in the world with over 10 million patient visits per year. And it's really a brand awareness thing where we get exposed to the U.S. market. A lot of people are looking to the Texas Medical Center to see what's cooking there, and so that's a great kind of early brand building that's going on for us over there. But it is a big market, and we're very aware of that fact. So we need to be prepare well, be diligent before we do anything major over there, and that's why we're starting to do some of the early, let's say, reconnaissance and brand awareness building and partnering talks over there.
Yes. Last time we talked about your partner, Rox Health. How is that partnership developing?
I think it's going very well. So as I said, we announced that we have met the first milestone that we had in our contract with them, and so that meant that we would that we delivered the German version of the product to them, and there will be a couple of new upcoming milestones that, by the way, just unlocked that we could continue with getting more resources from them. We also got a payout of 35,000 euros from them. It's more of a well, everything matters, of course, but it's a nice little recognition. But the more important thing in that milestone being met is continuing access to their team and their resources, which we're working now on next phase, which is market launch, and also working more on these reimbursement pathways, DIGA, and the other pathway called Detta. And the next two milestones there will be the actual launch on the second quarter of the new year. And the third milestone is that we either have the first 3 paying customers in Germany, or we have the first 3 patients or clinicians into a study with the aim of getting the data for the large-scale national reimbursement there.
Do you have any other partnerships other than Rox Health?
So we're in a number of dialogues, both with leading Alzheimer's pharma companies, but we're also talking to some of the large global hearing aid companies because they have very big overlap with our target audience. Many of them are engaged in early detection and screening of Alzheimer's disease, and therefore they're interested in also seeing if there's some complementary things, because what can be offered to a person after they have been diagnosed with dementia, and right now it's very little that can be offered to them. So that's why there can be a big synergy there. So we're in a number of dialogues, and it is an important and stated part of our strategy to partner our way to scale. So we'll hopefully be coming with news on that as we move forward.
There has been some news on the CST. Can you walk us through that?
Yeah, in the end of September, the most important policy and research paper on Alzheimer's disease came out. It's called the World's Alzheimer's Report 2022, and it's being done by the Global Alzheimer's Association, Alzheimer's Disease International. And this is the paper that all the politicians, all the researchers are looking to say, like, what are the important things, what's the latest, the greatest in Alzheimer's that we really need to understand and do something about. And here, cognitive stimulation therapy that we are pioneering the digital version of in Brain Plus was recommended for global implementation, and as a cost-effective method of basically treating dementia. So that was extremely positive because it means that beyond the 35 countries that are already adopting CST, this will only be another big push for this therapeutic method, and obviously that means that we'll have a bigger wave that we can ride on with our digital versions and delivery of this therapy.
Lecanemab came with positive results. How does that affect the sector, but especially Brain Plus?
Yeah, again, for reference, Lecanemab is a drug developed by Eisai and Biogen, Eisai being the large Japanese pharma company, Biogen a large US pharma company. And it's a disease-modifying drug for Alzheimer's disease that is removing protein tangles in the brain. And so they came with positive results in the phase 3, which is very positive for the entire industry and for us as well. It means that very likely this drug will soon be on the market, and this market and this drug is actually doing something similar to what cognitive stimulation therapy is doing, which is to show reduction in the cognitive decline for people with dementia. And it's great news for us because all of these pharma companies, especially Eisai and Biogen, are thinking very much the dementia from an ecosystem perspective, and they're looking for digital companions for their products. And they're not only looking for digital companions, they're even thinking the next step, which is a combination of digital and drug treatments to get even bigger impact, bigger health outcomes. And so this is really interesting for us. It also means that these companies will, of course, be investing a lot of money in Alzheimer's and be investing a lot of money in digital companions, etc. Likely that, without making any promises whatsoever, but hypothetically, that means that companies like Brain Plus could be investment targets or even acquisition targets someday.
Looking forward, is the combination treatment something that you're looking at?
It definitely is. So, and that's because when you think about a drug and a digital therapeutic, the mechanisms of action are different. They're doing different things for the person in the brain, which means that they're actually complementary and they can be actually synergistic. So we're thinking very much about this, and if we look a little bit further into the future, let's say five years, then I think we'll start really seeing much more combinations between digital therapeutics and drugs that will give increased health outcomes than any of 1 + 1 = 3, basically, in terms of treatment options. And this is also something that some of these big companies are actively looking for. The big pharma companies, the ones that are most pioneers in terms of the digital space. And at this point, all the top 20 big pharma companies now have digital departments and are working on digital because they know it's coming and it's going to be an important part of healthcare in the future.
Moving on to the last question, can you give us an update on the warrant period?
Yeah, we're in the middle of the exercise period for the Brain Plus warrants, the ticker being Brain PTO. And so all the shareholders that invested in the pre-IPO, the IPO last year, they got these warrants, which means that they can go out and get new shares at a 30% discounted price to the average of the first 2 weeks of October. So that's, I think the price was around, so that means that they can buy with such a warrant for 1.63 or something kroner, which is a very good deal in terms of where, or it's rather, instead of saying that, I can't really say that it's a good deal, but it's a good, is much lower than the actual market price. So in that sense, it is just mathematically, it's a good deal. So that can be exercised now, which means that people can go to their bank and there will be a corporate action there where you can say yes or no to wanting to exercise that warrant. And these warrants are also tradable in the market. So people who don't have them can actually go buy them. Maybe there are some warrant holders who don't have the money. That means that they can then sell these warrants in the market for others who want to participate in this warrant exercise. And for most of the banks, like Nordnet being one of the big ones, for example, the money needs to be in the bank on the 27th. So I think that's Thursday next week for the bank to actually execute the warrants in time. So it's something that's good to look at right now. We announced on Monday that I myself, I also invested in the IPO last year, and 2 of the board members invested in the IPO last year, Lars Ternay and Hanne Hillman, Lars being vice chairman, Hanne being the chair of the audit committee. And we all exercised all our warrants this week, and we of course believe very much in the future of Brain Plus. So that's basically it. Now there's this window of opportunity until around the 27th, and for some banks maybe all the way to the 31st of October.
Thank you for speaking with us today, and best of luck in the future.
You're welcome, Martin. Thank you. It was a pleasure, as always.
Thank you.